Last episode on sailing Millennial Falcon, we ran some last minute errands, we made some new friends, we attended a local fish festival, and we prepared Millie to leave Porto to continue our journey eastward.
Leaving day!
Come on, anchor up, let's go! This is it, these are the channel markers, the way out. There's no turning back now. Alright guys, so our plan today is after leaving Puerto Real, which is on the west coast of Puerto Rico, is to head south and then east, right across to La Parguera. And apparently it's a really nice little spot with clear waters, and we should anchor there for the night and enjoy some of the bar scenes around the area, and maybe clean the hull because it's a bit filthy, and the water is apparently beautiful.
So nice to be sailing again! Wow!
Okay, so we've been sailing now for about 45 minutes, and in those 45 minutes we've managed to get gusts of wind up to about 34 knots. We decided to pull into the local, to the bay just down from where we were in Puerto Real, which is called Boquerón. On our way into there, we suddenly felt that the engine wasn't really responding very well. We weren't really steering very well. We were also running a bit high in temperature, on our engine temperature. So we turned the engine down. We still had our sails out at this stage. And when we did roll the sails in, we were only doing about 1 knot, half a knot, so we're kind of a bit dead in the water. Tried to turn the engine back on, and it just wasn't going anywhere, and the engine was starting to shudder a little bit, or the prop shaft was starting to shudder a little bit. Anyway, it was a bit of panic. Adam went downstairs to check it up. He came up about 3 minutes later and said that our prop shaft has fallen away from our engine again. Exactly the same as what it did when we first came into Puerto Rico. So right now we're trying to still get into the same bay, because this is going to be the best chance that we have to I guess actually look at it. Can't believe this has happened again. We are both bloody frantic. We're trying to face high winds, which silly of us, probably shouldn't have left at this stage during the day, but it doesn't usually get up to 34 knots of wind. Luckily, one of our friends who we've mentioned before, Josh, he's actually a diesel, he's worked on diesel engines before, so they've just gone out to anchor in Boquerón, and he said that he's going to come back in the dinghy, climb aboard with us, so the seas are a bit hairy. I hope he does okay, and he's going to help us try to anchor in on sail again. So probably not the best, most successful shakeout sail, but we'll try and fix it, and we'll keep you updated.
Dusty as. 30 knots, 22 knots, 30 knots, 22 knots, 30 degrees of heel, flat, 30 degrees of heel, flat.
After battling with strong winds for another 2 hours to get into the anchorage, we simultaneously wound in the jib while our friend pushed our nose into the wind from a dinghy. We then hurriedly dropped the anchor. Man, okay, we finally anchored. Took us a while. We just had our jib out the whole time. And we are very, very close to some mangroves, but luckily if the wind blows anymore, we're just going to end up in mangroves, so that's one good thing at least. This wind will just not let off. It was not like this in Puerto Real. In our sheltered little cove that we were at for so long, we just didn't really get the full force of these winds at lunchtime, and we kind of underestimated them a little bit, I think. And after so long in the marina and anchor, we kind of, I guess, forgot what it was like to sail. So we did not prepare very well for our sail, and I'll just show you the carnage of what's happened downstairs while we've been sailing upstairs. Oops. I don't even care what time it is. This is happening with some lunch. How are you feeling?
There are no words. I mean, I'm proud of us for sailing into yet another anchorage without an engine and making it safely. Glad we had some help this time, and it's not the middle of the night, but this time we're on the other end of the spectrum. We had gusting 33 knots coming in, so we've achieved it at both ends. Middle of the day, 33 knots, middle of the night, no knots. So I'm annoyed that it's happened again, and I had yet to have a chance to initiate all of the great suggestions we got from the last time this happened.
After lunch, we immediately got to work with me cleaning up the boat and Adam diving on the prop shaft again and pushing it back into the boat. Alright, he can stop now. That was a good one, that one.
Yeah. I'm having man bun issues here.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, the worst kind.
It's the final test. Adam's been working downstairs for about the last 3 hours.
I forgot where we were for a minute there. I was like, we've drifted heaps, what the hell?
Is it working? How's it going?
Seems to be working. I don't know, nothing blew up.
Back of the boat hasn't fallen
good.
off
The
again.
boat hasn't fallen off again.
Alright, so this is the day after that fateful day where we lost our prop shaft again. And we just thought whether we should summarise a little bit, or maybe the lessons that we learned, because as we were coming in on our sails to anchor, we were both just kind of kicking ourselves, being like, how has this happened again? So stupid. So we've had a little bit of time to think about it, and this is kind of, I guess, what we think we should have done better this time.
The first mistake we made was leaving when we left. We did check the forecast, and there's no weather events that would preclude us from leaving. However, Puerto Rico has a pretty predictable pattern of weather, and regardless of what the forecast says, it's going to be calm in the morning, it's going to blow dogs off chains in the middle of the day, and in the evening it's going to calm back down. And we had planned to get away early, and we pulled out of the bay at 9:10, and we had about 4 miles south to go with the wind on a beam, which foolishly would have had us turning east straight into the wind at peak wind for the day, which was much higher than forecast, being 33 knots.
It's forecast to be about 15 knots.
Yeah. So we ended up pulling the pin when we passed this bay where we've currently crash landed, called Boquerón. Because of that fact, we didn't want to turn north and motor into 30 knots all day. Which is when the shaft fell off, so it was a bit of a blessing in disguise, really. However, that led us to mistake number 2.
Our shaft fell off again.
The shaft fell off.
Oh my god, how does this happen?
So after the last video where I discussed it, I received lots of comments. They were all great suggestions.
Yes.
However, I hadn't had a chance to get to the shops and buy any of the things required.
Yeah.
So this time when I rebuilt it, I did get some Loctite on there, a fairly liberal amount. Josh over on Bright Eyes is a diesel mechanic, and he was pretty helpful in sort of trying to troubleshoot what might have happened. And I suspect that both times when it got put back together, when I did it and when it was put back together by whoever did it before we owned the boat, was putting the nut on backwards. We've put it back together with Loctite, put the nut the other way around, which is the way I suspect it should fit. And that's all we can do. There's nothing else we can do other than, with what we have at hand, other than not throttle bash and hope it stays on, really.
Yeah. What was our third thing?
Number 3
we chatted about it earlier.
So we got caught with our pants down a little bit.
We got caught with our pants down.
We did. This boat, the Tiana, is extremely well balanced under sail, and we have never ever had any kind of weather helm or lee helm at all, ever. However, yesterday we took off out of the marina on engine, and we had the wind on a beam, and it's quite shallow water pulling out, and we didn't turn to windward and get the main up. We just furled out the jib and we're motor sailing. And we were still getting 6.5 knots, which is great. However, when the prop fell off on the way back into harbour, we were stuck with a jib only and extremely short-handed and finding it very difficult to heave to.
We could not turn into the wind for the life of us. If we had to turn direction, we had to jibe instead of tack.
Like full lock weather helm in 33 knots with a jib only, which is really bad. So I ended up having to shorten the jib so we could keep steerage. And a couple of times when we tried to tack, it wouldn't go, and we had to jibe all the way back around to change heading on the way into our crash landing anchorage again. So that was a good lesson. In hindsight, it was good sail handling exercise for us.
Yeah, that's true.
You
Yeah,
know, when you can't tack, you have to jibe, and we did that 3 or 4 times.
And just for learners, tacking means that where you change direction if you're going upwind, and jibing means if you're changing direction going downwind.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Very basic.
So that was mistake number 3. Always keep balanced sails, even if you don't think you'll need them, because you never know when your prop shaft's going to fall off.
Having fixed the prop shaft, we cautiously decided to break up our trip to La Parguera into smaller hops, so if anything else happened, we'd have a nearby anchorage to retreat to.
This is it. This is
What is it?
the first time since we left the mainland US. Actually, it's the first time ever since we've owned this boat that we have left a place and arrived in the next place without breaking something. Yes! Wow! The curse is broken! Yes! We didn't break anything! Woo! Yes!
So it's 5:30 in the morning. We've just pulled out of a little bay on the tip of Cabo Rojo where the lighthouse is. I forget the name. It's about 14 miles from La Parguera, and we're going to make the jump this morning before the wind picks up at 9 o'clock when it sort of gets a bit hectic out here. So hopefully it'll be an easy breezy sunrise motor sail, and we'll be there, we'll have a quick siesta, and we'll have a fun-filled day in La Parguera. Fingers crossed.
So it's 9:20 and we've just arrived in La Parguera, a few days later than we planned, but hey, we're here. Stocked up on some more food, and we're just heading back to the boat.
We're bringing in 16 amps.
Oh wow!
Solar panels are doing 10, and that's just picked up.
Our wind generator has
The
just
wind
been
gen
turned
has
on
picked
again.
up 16.1 amps, so we'll be full in an hour
How much will
or
we?
an hour and a half.
How much do we owe?
Just now we owe 23 amp hours just now, but it'll get slower as it gets fuller. But yeah, we're killing it. We're killing it here with all of with the regular wind and the sunny days. I love it. Wonder how the fridge is doing.
This is great.
Probably turn it up a bit.
Free energy is great. Loving this.
Love it. More solar panels. More electricity. So much for our lovely afternoon eating pizza and sipping beers in the sunshine.
Torrential. We're just here at the local mangrove spot, I think, which is apparently the party spot, I'm going to guess, because it's a Tuesday and I have no idea why these people aren't at work or school, but this place is just so busy. It's crazy. Bye-bye. 6:30 at night, and this little watering hole area is just getting even more and more packed. It's ridiculous. Day people have gone home, and then the nighttime people now have come in, and it's just like music is still playing. It's crazy.